There was a time when the steam locomotive ruled the rails across South Africa. The 3-foot 6-inch gauge line between Bloemfontein and Bethlehem was no exception. But by the early 1990s, the romance of the steam age was over, destroyed by the coming of the diesels. Worse was to come. Over time, stations and halts were abandoned, and the line that had faithfully served the region for nearly 100 years slid into decline. Paradoxically, it was also a time of hope and reconciliation.
One must remember that in the Mandela days in the 1990s, there was massive optimism. One genuinely felt that whatever you wanted to do was possible.
Hopes were high for the revival of the Eastern Free State Railway. And to that end, in 1997, the Sandstone Steam Railroad Company was born. Steam locomotives were acquired and restored to exploit the massive tourist potential of the region. But the dream was short-lived. Initial support by the railway authorities turned to indifference. Incompetence and corruption began to creep into South Africa's railway network. As a result, the Sandstone Steam Railroad ceased operations in 1999.
We decided there was no future. The writing was on the wall. We had already bought the locomotives, so we did the next best thing we could. We stored them, we looked after them, we made sure they weren't vandalized.
But over time, security became an increasing concern.
All over South Africa, these locals are in danger wherever they stand. You know, what's going to happen there? When are they going to start cutting out axle boxes or whatever?
We saw it as a sort of Damocles. The longer we waited, the greater the chance of a mishap.
And the opportunities for mishap were plentiful. Rampant crime was not the only issue. Historic locomotives were being disposed of indiscriminately for nothing more than their scrap value. So in 2021, the decision was made to move all the broad gauge assets to the safety of Sandstone Estates, a large commercial farm in the Eastern Free State. This is the home of the Sandstone Heritage Trust, a private organisation dedicated to the preservation of the industrial, transport and agricultural heritage of southern Africa. The 2-foot narrow gauge railway on Sandstone Estates is world famous in its own right. Now it was to be joined by its much larger broad gauge sisters.
And now we've done the ultimate heavy move to take them to a place where they are good to go for an indefinite period.
It was quite a move. We had 2 depots to move our assets from. One was Bloemfontein, which is a working depot today, and the other was Germiston, which used to be a steam depot. In both instances, we had to go into some civil engineering to build roads to get in and out. One interesting point, of course, moving by road, and people question why did we not move the whole entourage by rail?
There never was a railway option. They simply didn't want to do it, couldn't do it, and gave us quotes which were designed to make us go away. Mike, my colleague, said, let's just try the road haulage guys.
Moving large, heavy railway equipment by road is not a job to be undertaken lightly. To start with, there's the delicate business of transferring multiple flanged wheels from one set of rails to another.
And then when you pull it, you mustn't pull it skew, otherwise you pull your ramp underneath and then you're out of line of your track.
Safety was paramount. Nothing happened until they were 120% sure that it was safe.
It was that close attention to detail that helped to make sure that there were indeed no accidents. And then there was the matter of making sure that such large loads would actually fit through and around the many obstacles that faced them.
We had maximum 100 millimeters clearance between the top of the locos and the tunnel roof. It was a bit touch and go at times.
We were absolutely astonished at the competence and the professionalism of the guys who made the move.
That tribute to the teams of the consortium of Mercor and Munro Transport was well deserved. 13 items of heavy metal weighing nearly 1,400 tons in total were moved a distance of 550 kilometres. With 700 horsepower pulling and 700 horsepower pushing, 40 kilometres an hour was easily maintained. Impossibly tight spaces through busy towns turned out to be no problem for the multi-axle trailers. All 152 wheels are hydraulically steered via the drawbars front and rear.
It takes time, but it can be done. And of course they've got to be careful. They can't knock down Kentucky Fried Chicken or take down the light pole. It's not allowed.
They are worrying about where it should be on the road. The back driver's got to be in constant contact with the front driver, because remember, he can't see anything, he's blind. So they have radio communications, and they're talking almost constantly about what's happening, what's up ahead.
What was up ahead on long stretches of road was scores of potholes. But the sense of satisfaction of getting everything safely to its destination made up for all the trials and tribulations along the way. The arrival at Sandstone Estates was a relief and a triumph for all concerned. Of course, the job was not finished and the danger was not over until offloading had been completed. And that is something best left to people who know what they're doing.
You've got one chance to do it right and not a chance to do it again. The low bed and the track you offload it on must be directly in line. So if you are a little bit out, you're going to end up with the wheels derailing at every wheel that you offload.
I mean, the job isn't done. We now have to erect an 85 metre by like 40 metre shed to cover them, because there's no point in leaving them to the elements. They've all then got to be repainted and redecorated. But when we finish, they'll look brand new, they'll be undercover, and we can rest easy now that they're good to go for the next 100 years or so.
With all the assets safe at last, the past has been preserved and the future secured at Sandstone Estates.